Live, my friend. I am pumped for this. It's a Friday evening for me. What time is it? It's 6:15 and it's 3:15 for you.
It
So
is. Yeah.
thanks for taking this. I know I'm dipping into your well in BC you're probably still cutting grass over there. I mean you probably could be on your lawnmower cutting your grass right
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. It actually snowed a little bit today, so
now. Oh my God. I got a picture from Don Campbell the other day and it was a beautiful view and I saw a little bit of snow and I said, Don, I thought it was like plus 14 over there. And I guess it's you guys have gotten a little bit of snow, so it's
a
all
little
good.
bit. Yeah, you bet. It had to be shoveled. So there was volume. Yes.
There's volume. Not the tractor, just the shovel.
No, I actually had to get out my tractor. So
So listen, Patrick, for those fine folks that are listening coast to coast, let's get right into it because by now everybody knows that we are doing the Strategies, Opportunities, and Solutions Real Estate Conference March 1st, 2nd, 3rd in Calgary. We have some massive names like Brett Wilson from the Dragon's Den. We have Chris Adamkowski from Google. We have Tom Rosser from Resas.
yep.
We have Michael Mole from Redium, which is a blockchain company. We got the James Canals and the Barry Maguires, and we have Keith Uti, and you'll be speaking, and I'll be speaking. I mean, we got about 18 different speakers.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, we've got a great weekend lined up, and as we get towards the week, for me it was just about Jennifer and I have spent countless hours on our agenda. I've lost track of it. I was starting, my vision was getting blurred looking at Excel spreadsheets and really getting the agenda dialed down. We spent literally dozens and dozens of hours because it does take a lot to pull off an event like this. We're kicking off Friday night. How do we want Saturday to flow? Who are we, what do we really, what do we want the takeaways to be? And then into Sunday. So we're really methodical. And for those of you who have attended our events, many of you have, I mean, we're pretty diligent in making sure that the way the event rolls out is really beneficial to us as real estate investors. And so you get the most out of it. And it really honors our speakers so that they're getting and giving the most that they can as well.
Well, and one of the things, Patrick, and I think we should hit this kind of on the head, if you will, is, we every year across the country in Calgary, in Edmonton, in Vancouver, and Toronto, we do an event called Acre, which is the authentic Canadian real estate event. We're known for it. I mean, it's our staple. It's our foundation. It's our steak and potatoes, if you will. Now, this event is different. This is not a traditional Acre. It's different. We're going to be covering some very market-specific and very timing-specific stuff as it relates to Alberta. So talk to me a little bit about that, Patrick, because I want to get into the agenda with this interview because people are asking, is it an acre? Is it not an acre? What am I going to learn? So let's get into the meat and potatoes here.
That's a really great point that you're making. The Acre event, the Authentic Canadian Real Estate Program that we traditionally would put on is really foundational to learning, and it's learning a lot about real estate. The Strategies, Opportunities, and Solutions is really built around education, but it's very specific to what's going on economically in Alberta and also looking at Canada overall, but it's expanding on what you would normally or traditionally learn at an Acre to deal with current issues. So we're going to be talking about expanded opportunities, way of investing. Right now in Calgary, sometimes it's hard to get cash flow properties. Sometimes it's hard to get tenants. So we look into what's the best way to attract tenants in an economy like this. So the education is based on what's going on economically and what is the best way for us to really profit and prosper in an economy that's still relatively soft. We're seeing lots of green shoots. We remain eternally optimistic about what Alberta is doing, Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, doesn't matter. However, we want to take and apply the right strategies and the right tactics so that we can, in fact, be very successful as real estate investors in that particular economy, and then we plan for the future from there.
Now, Patrick, you just said something interesting. I think instead of calling it the Strategies, Opportunities, and Solutions, we may have called it the How to Profit and Prosper Real Estate Conference. You just said Profit and Prosper. I thought that has a nice ring to it. We should have called it that.
It really does. But here's the thing about it, when 27 years and myself in business 35 years, is that as real estate investors, I can assure you that there's money to be made in any real estate market in any economy. Real estate doesn't change. How you play the game and the strategies and the tactics you apply are what has to change,
Yeah.
so that you don't try and do fix and flip always in a really soft economy, because guess what? People aren't buying. Flipping is not the ideal strategy to use. So you adjust the tactic, you adjust the strategy. And that's why, for example, we'll be having Barry McGuire talk about alternative investments strategies like an agreement for sale. Gosh, I mean, agreements for sale in Alberta right now are a really key strategy, and that's just one example. You're going to be talking about, for example, about using social media. I don't want to give it away, but you're going to be talking about great ways to attract tenants based on what you've learned a lot in all of your investing. And I mean, you're a very accomplished investor, and you know what works. You're a systems guy, you're a process guy. You know how to attract tenants in any market. And I think that's so critical for people to understand, that when you're in an economy like Alberta, like Calgary, you need to expand and really understand the best tactics and strategies to apply.
So I think that what's going to set this event apart, Patrick, is I'm picking up on a couple themes here. The first one is we're going to get an accurate picture of what the heck's going on. We're going to get current economic status of where things are at. Jennifer's got some amazing research, new transportation effect reports coming out.
Yeah.
Absolutely epic. And that's being all supported by the likes of Brett Wilson coming in, giving his opinion as to where his investments are at, where he's going with his business, where he's going in terms of the prairies, in terms of Alberta, in terms of him being an investor, a philanthropist, and an entrepreneur. So I think that getting a real good sense, because I'm getting the sense, and Patrick, you're the Alberta boy, right? So we're talking about Northern Ontario, I mean, I'd be that guy. That's me. But you're it's like you and me are the same, just different parts of the country.
Yeah.
But my point is this, that there's a little bit right now of hesitancy where people want to get going, but they're not sure. They're like kind of a bit gun shy. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's interesting that we just come off an Alberta tour, and I love talking to, and when I'm speaking, I like to speak to the whole audience and raise hand. And although it's anecdotal, I'm starting to finally feel the shift of the REIN member community in their investment, that they're starting to feel a little bit lighter, a little more optimistic. They're starting to see, a couple people are saying, I got little rent increases and my vacancies, guess what, I'm full. And it's starting to get easier to find those tenants. A lot of that comes with a slightly improving economy, but also it is really about the when things are down and when things are tough, you really have to dig in, and you get a little bit more creative with your marketing strategies, with what you're offering for rents. One of the things in Edmonton, I think without a doubt, right within the meeting room, everybody agreed that they're not having to give free rent incentives to get people in. So those are, I mean, it sounds silly, but those are really big, epic moves to show that the economy is improving a little bit, to show that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. But what all that meant was that people were applying different strategies and tactics to accomplish a goal that they had that was easier before, when the economy, of course, is better.
Perfect. So that's step one. That's one big defining marker of this event. The second defining marker, which I'm really excited about, because to me, this is what this event is really going. People are going to leave this event thinking, wow, I didn't think they would get this deep into things. But the lineup of speakers from the Barry McGuires, who's going to be talking about some very, very advanced strategies. Patrick, these are not strategies we typically talk about at these kinds of events. These are typically the stuff Barry's going to talk about, and I know you're going to be on stage with him. Yep. The types of strategies that you guys are going to cover, the advanced investing strategies, these are things that are reserved for the far and few between. This is not something that's typically for the masses.
Yeah, and I think REIN members need to understand this isn't going to be a typical event. I mean, it's going to be a typical event in terms of the quality of what we deliver, because we always really pride ourselves in the quality of the event that we bring. But to give you an example, as I look here at the agenda, I'll give some of the insights into it. So how about how to protect your downside in real estate? That's a panel that I'm going to be having and discussing. How do you protect downside in real estate so that although you're prospering when it's up, you also continue to prosper and profit even as things come down? How do you risk mitigate, from wills and estates to insurance, and to understanding what risk mitigation even means on the finance side of the equation? So we're going to be talking about those kinds of things. And renovating to rent. having a very extensive conversation with a panel about renovating to rent. What's the strategy? Here's some things that you need to pay attention to, and here's a way to embrace that particular strategy in this kind of a market. So those are a couple of examples, and then we're going to talk about, and some of these titles don't hold me to them because I'm not going to give away the farm. You need to come out to see it, but it's going to be worth your time to come, and really, we want RAIN members to succeed. We want to equip them and arm them with a lot of insights and strategies that they may not be as equipped to initiate without some additional information. That's what we're really trying to do here.
Yeah. So again, just to recap for those that are listening and taking notes. So defining moments of this event for the first is really getting an accurate picture of where we are today and what to do about it going forward. That's the first thing, but you can always count on RAIN for that. You can always count on RAIN to know exactly where you are and what to do. The second thing is advanced strategies, not typically covered in these types of events, not even our events. Yeah. We're going to be talking to some real industry experts. I mean, Barry's got 10,000 plus deals under his belt. I mean, mind-numbing stuff.
Yeah. And that's, when it comes to finance, we're also going to be talking a lot about what's happening with the mortgage rules. Means that you also have to get creative and maybe live outside a box that you're normally living in when it comes to finance. And what are the strategies that you could expand on with capital that gets invested, and what is the right time to pay a little bit more for an interest rate to get a deal done? When does that math work? So looking at different ways to finance and what the banks want to see, number one, as well as risk mitigation on the downside of what's going on with banks. So RAIN Finance Center, Hugo Dostres will be there to be talking a lot about that. And so that's also very cool. And then also alternative investing strategies. So I don't know if we want to go there right now. Do you want to go talk about that?
Hold on. You're going way too fast there, Patrick. You're way too excited. So there's, and you're absolutely right. So I've done my recap now, and you kind of let the cat out of the bag.
I did.
That I'll also be speaking twice, which I'm super pumped about. So my one talk, I'll be talking about the top 6 ways to maximize your net operating income and drive cash flow, which is critical in markets like this. And then my second topic, which is going to be Saturday afternoon, super excited about because, you guys know how passionate I'm about this, which is 6 awesome real estate marketing tactics that you can steal. I'm going to be opening up the playbook and giving you the tactics so you can literally steal the tactics so that you can take your business to the next level. So I'm excited about that. Now, those are 2 big defining moments. The third pretty massive thing to me and big defining moment is we're going to be talking about alternative investment strategies. And you kind of let the cat out of the bag there, Patrick. I was kind of hoping to build it up a little more. But this is big. Listen, RAIN and Patrick, you know this better than most. And those of you listening, RAIN has been an absolute staple. An absolute staple in 27 years in the buy and hold strategy. But the fact is there's many other strategies as well. Yeah. And those alternative strategies in a market like this right now in Alberta are very, very interesting and very, very attractive. And we're talking about, we're bringing in real estate investment trust experts.
Yes.
So what else are we doing, Patrick?
Well, when we talk about different opportunities to invest, so what's critical about it is where does cash, how much cash do you have? What's available to invest? What can you qualify for at the bank? I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to consider in how we invest in real estate and what types of investment. But because you can't you can't pick up a buy and hold deal because maybe you don't qualify for a mortgage, you may have too many properties, or you don't have enough down payment, or whatever that might be. It doesn't take you out of the game. We're looking and we're going to start. But here's the thing, and I want to just qualify this a little bit. When we look at opportunities and RAIN as the leader in education for 27 years in the space of real estate, as much as we have really focused on, that do-it-yourself, buy and hold, fix and flip, those kinds of things, multifamily, you can even expand beyond that. We start talking about REITs, but knowing what is a REIT, what does it mean to invest in a REIT? Those are foundational things that allow you to get in the game but not have to get a mortgage. Limited partnerships. Partnerships can be awesome or they can be disastrous. You need to know how to play that game, and so we're going to educate you on that aspect of it as well.
If I can jump in, Patrick, I think this is critical. For the first time ever, we are going to teach how to do due diligence on limited partnerships. This is not, we've never taught that before.
100%. And the other thing we're going to expand on is, it's interesting in the marketplace in Alberta. RAIN's always been leaders, but we're starting to see, so we work so closely with Barry and Donna McGuire. Many RAIN members, of course, know them. They're part of the culture. They're really woven into the fabric of RAIN for so many years. And when they took their focus workshops and they started introducing the concept and the training of agreements for sale, RAIN started doing that, gosh, I want to say at least 15 years ago, but we've really cranked it up because it's been a great workable strategy. And I guess if what is it, imitation is, what is that?
Imitation is the ultimate form of flattery.
Flattery. Well, guess what? We should be very flattered. But what's happening in this particular strategy is that imitation that our others are teaching out there it's actually watered down. And it's just not okay, because it's a dangerous game to play if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why Barry and Donna, who, they've been doing this for years. Donna, as we've talked many times, 40 years as a real estate lawyer, tens of thousands of deals. Barry is an icon in this industry, and there's nobody that's better at teaching that strategy of agreements for sale than Barry, and he's going to be there to talk about it even more. The real key here is that we're going to maintain our status as leaders in the industry by not watering it down, because it takes education to do it. So once again, we're going to apply and learn a lot more about that strategy at this event.
And then the fourth thing, so I'll round up my top four and my fourth defining moment with really the technology side, the prop tech side. We've been ringing this bell, Patrick, for 12 months, and people are starting to probably feel like, okay, you've been saying this enough, but guys, you will be shocked that this trend is coming. And we got Michael Mole, who's with Redium, who's a blockchain, talking about tokenization of real estate. This is happening. And Patrick, let's talk about this, because you're a great example. You're a great example because you're, let's call it, further along in your real estate career.
Okay. I'm glad you're cautious. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, JG. I love you, man.
So, you like the way I position that? So because you're further along, some experienced investors that have already built their portfolio, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, why do I care about blockchain? Why do I care about tokenization? Because I already have my portfolio. Here's my warning. And Patrick, let me know if you agree. My warning is, okay, you may have built your portfolio, cool. You may be sitting on it, cool. But when you want to unload your portfolio, guess how it's going to be unloaded? You think it's going to be unloaded the traditional way? Not in the next 5, 10, 15 years. You're going to need to know how tokenization works, because that's maybe how you're going to unload your portfolio.
Oh man, I could rant on this one for a while. There's a couple things that I want to, because it's so important. First and foremost, we've been talking about this for at least 12 months, as you've said. And the one thing about being leaders is that sometimes you're living into a future that people can't see. That's why we're leaders. So what the hell are we talking about this, 12 months ago? Well, as anybody who's really paying attention is starting to see these things start to ramp up. And all of a sudden, you are seeing more and more about blockchain. You're seeing more about technology. You're seeing more about artificial intelligence. All of the things that we've been talking about. Now, here's why that's important. Number one, it sets RAIN up sometimes as to be criticized and say, well, why does this all matter right now? And we get all that. That's the tough part about being a leader. The other part of this, though, is that we have a room full of leaders. We have a community of leaders. And it's so incredibly important. If you want to lead the way for your friends, your family, your joint venture partners, if you want to be the leader in the space called real estate investors, you need to pay attention to this. This is always what I've said, is that RAIN members show up. They show up in the community. They show up as real estate investors. They show up as equipped and knowledgeable. And mediocrity doesn't live in making the future wrong. The future's coming, and we want to be ahead of it. And that's why, even as a real estate investors, we're looking into the future. We analyze the economic fundamentals. We invest in real estate because of where the market's going. We try and see into the future, and this is exactly what it is. Now, on Sunday particularly, I want to say that we've saved the best for last, and that's not really true. It's just that it's so new and so exciting. When you start talking about technology and Redium and blockchain, and it's a cool space, and it's so important for real estate investors to be ahead of it.
Yeah, and I think this event will go down in history as a very meaty event. Like, this is like a 7-course meal. Every segment is going to be chock full of valuable information that is going to really dive deep into strategies, into tactics, into solutions, into opportunities. And whether someone is brand new, Patrick, whether someone wants to start a portfolio, it's a great time. Someone has a portfolio, wants to grow it, it's a great time. We're actually going to be showing, we didn't mention this, but we will be sharing some strategies on sales, on marketing, on how to raise joint venture funds, on how to become the leader in your community so that you can attract capital to you, so that you can grow your portfolio. Or, and this is one of the cool things, and you got some really cool stuff coming down the pipe, where if you're towards the latter years of your career and you want to start exiting, there may be some cool stuff coming down the pipe as well.
There is, yes, and so you got to be there to get all of the cool. We can't talk about everything we're going to do, but it's going to be a very cool event. And the other thing that I want to really shine a light on for those that are still listening is that the other thing that's there is community resources. And when we look at the resources, that also creates opportunity. There's a room full of experts. There's a room full of great speakers. There's a room full of service providers, great strategic partners that are there, that speak in the values of RAIN and understand the RAIN methodology, and that we're connected with and that we can link people with. And there's just nothing better or smarter, by the way, than getting into the community and into an environment that actually drives success. For some who's listening to this, you may be going, man, I've just been upside down on real estate and it's kind of boring and it's no fun, it's too hard to work. Get into this environment and you can just, you'll walk out of there with a smile on your face going, guess what? There is opportunity here. There are strategies, there are solutions, there is things that I can do and surround myself with the right people by putting myself in the right environment.
This event will definitely appeal to those just starting, those in the middle of their cycle, those that towards the latter end of their cycle. Yeah. This event will have strategies, opportunities, and solutions for all investors, and you will blow away. I can guarantee the return on investment of time, because that's the biggest thing, right, Patrick? People, this is 2.5 days. This is a lot of time to allocate to this. I guarantee it's going to be a positive ROI on your time.
And I think that's so, I think it's important to really to share with people is that as an executive team with RAIN, these are all considerations. We realize people have children and they've got family events, they got things showing up. So we don't ever want to have you show up at an event and go, wow, this wasn't worth it. And we just don't do that. That's never, we are always very, very diligent in saying, okay, how are they going to walk out of there going, wow, this was an amazing experience. Was it ever a good use of my time? The one thing we haven't talked about much, which I'm kind of excited about, is Friday night, we have Brett Wilson speaking. I mean, we've got a couple of really cool, we got Google, Chris Adamkowski with Google is going to share some stuff. We've got a speaker, I'm just going to say it's Keith. Keith's going to come up and he's going to share some of his stuff, which is incredibly exciting. I think he is a billionaire that is really going to talk about some of the stuff that he's working on these days. But I'm excited about Brett because Brett's an oil and gas guy, and he's in Alberta. And if you've been following Brett Wilson, he's fired up about what's going on in Alberta right now. And so we have no idea what he's going to talk about. We really don't. But we know it's going to be probably pretty passionate and pretty fired up.
You're going to get the straight goods. I can guarantee you that. You're going to get the straight goods.
Yeah. We've had Brett on our stage a while, like a couple of years ago, and it was awesome. And but I've been really paying attention to Brett recently, and yeah, he's going to be cool. It'll be a fun awesome conversation. Yeah.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for making the time on a Friday afternoon, man. I appreciate it. This is going to be a huge event. I attached a link in the description. People could click on the link, get registered. Seats are definitely going quick. We expect a phenomenal event. So the who's who of real estate is going to be there. Patrick, you're going to be there. I'm going to be there. The whole gang's going to be there. There's a couple
of who's right there. I mean, there's two who's right there.
two who's will be there. That's for sure.
I don't know where I'm going with that.
Patrick, thank you so much for your time, pal. Appreciate it. Folks,
Awesome.
we'll see you March 1st, 2nd, 3rd in Calgary.
See everybody there.
Cheers.